right now. Going to catch up with former Steeler. It's going to be fun because this guy could really play. And obviously, the Steelers, a cross-state rival, looks like they're going to have some fans in the stand out there. And two-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ike Taylor from the Bleav Network, the Bleav Podcast Network, is set to join us right now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline for Eagles and Steelers. A look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he joins us now on the Sports Bash. Ike, welcome aboard, man. How you doing?
Fellas, how y'all doing?
Everything is good. Always fun when the Eagles and Steelers match up. A little cross-state rivalry here. And let's start with the Steelers team that's undefeated and a lot different when you have Ben Roethlisberger, I would get. Is that to you the biggest change from last year's team to this year's team is simply having Ben back?
Yeah. I mean, Ben is the Jenga piece. You know, when you go 8-8 and you have your fourth string quarterback, obviously we all know what the defense is doing, but just Ben's presence on the field, him growing the camaraderie with his wide receivers. This has been offense. This has been his team. You know, he's the veteran guy. He's the oldest guy on the team. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. He's been to 3, and he has a young core of receivers that he can mold, and that's what he's starting to do. So Ben understands where he's at in life. He understands where he's at as a player, and that's what Pittsburgh missed last year. You know, with as good of a defense as they was playing, they're even playing better, one as a whole, two as a team, and it's all because of 7.
Yeah, you mentioned the weapons out there. Obviously, Antonio Brown was there for such a long time. He was the guy that everybody knew, but they got a group of guys now, and it seems that is helping that offense kind of thrive, is that you got Johnson and Juju. I mean, there's just a bunch of different guys. Connor at running back. They got a nice set of weapons out there for Ben.
You can't, for me, how I look at it with the wide receiver core, you really can't kill nobody with that wide receiver core unless you go down to like a third down situation and try to take somebody who's hot that day out. But for the most part, between Washington, Chase Claypool, Deontay, and Juju, and we're not even talking about the tight ends between Eric, Ibram, and McDonald, Ben has a boatload of weapons. So it's just depending on how he feels, what he think is hot, who he think is hot from that wide receiving core. And as a defensive coordinator, man, it's hard. They're putting pressure on the defense because they just don't have that guy right now. But in actuality, it helps as a team because any given day, out of one of the 3 or 4 receivers can catch a hot hand and take off.
How about the coaching battle in this game? You got Mike Tomlin versus Doug Pederson, both very respected, I would say, at the top of the league. Who would you give the advantage to?
Coach T all day. I respect Coach Doug, but I respect the heck out of Coach Doug. But Coach T, man, is just what I saw what Coach T did last year with the 4th-string quarterback and was a game away from making the playoffs. If the rules was changed last year to what they're doing this year with the playoffs, Pittsburgh would have made the playoffs. They got teams who couldn't get it done with their 1st-string quarterback, let alone what Coach T and that coaching staff did with a 4th-string quarterback last year. So I'm tipping my hat to Coach T, 1, because I know him, 2, because I know he likes the challenge. You know, it's an in-state rival between them and Philly. So I'm just going to tip it to Coach T, man, all because I know him. No disrespect to a Super Bowl champion, Coach Doug, but I'm giving mine to Coach T.
I thought maybe with Doug going to a Louisiana college that maybe you might lean that way. You know, you guys down in Louisiana like to stick together, but I guess that didn't happen there for you, Ike. But, no, what is it like playing for Tomlin and being a part of that Steelers organization? Because obviously they have so few turnover at the coaching position, and it just seems that being a Steeler is a little different than, I know you didn't play, you spent your whole career with the Steelers, but what is it like being a member of that organization and having that stability from Mike Tomlin?
It starts with the Rooneys. the Rooney family. You know, I'm gonna take it to Mr. Art because Mr. Art is in charge right now. So the Rooney family makes that whole organization like a family. You know, even though they run it like a business, but for the most part, man, when you walk into the South Side on that second floor, you know, of the facility in Pittsburgh, you understand, man, it's family. And that's how they run their business. You know, it's a family-orientated business, and they treat their players and their employees like family. So it's a trickle-down effect. Coach T lets you be you. You know, whatever your personality is, he gonna let Ike be Ike. He gonna let 7 be 7, and that's all you can ask as far as like being straight up from a man-to-man talk. You gotta respect because Coach T will tell you how unfair this business is from day one.
Mm-hmm.
From day one team meeting, Coach T will tell you, I got money invested in Ike. If you're a free agent and you're late, you might as well keep it moving. Don't even come to the facility. I give Ike as many chances as I can, and if he continues, then I'm gonna have to handle my business. But he tell you the unfairness in the business side as a whole from day one. So whether you're a rookie or whether you're a 17-year vet, you know, you kind of appreciate that. You kind of appreciate that as a man, let alone a football player. Like, okay, this is what it is, and this is how it's gonna be in this locker room.
He's Ike Taylor. He's the host of Bleav in Steelers on the Bleav Podcast Network, former Pittsburgh Steeler, 2-time Super Bowl champion. When you're getting ready for a team, like Philly right now has got all sorts of injury problems. You know, we don't know if Deshaun Jackson's playing, don't know if Alshon's playing. So you're not sure what you might face. How does that change preparation for a game if you're a secondary player and you don't know who might be out there?
You look at who's the captain of the ship, and that's Carson Wentz. And you look at a team who really hasn't been blown out. It's kind of been self-inflicted when it comes down to wins and losses with the Philadelphia Eagles. Then you look at the defense. So I'm just taking being a cornerback out. You just look at that defense. They've been playing the last game. They played good on defense, and the rotation was the defensive line. So that team, from my standpoint and my eye test on what I saw, however that defensive line plays, that's how Philly is going to play. And I'm sure Coach T is going to tell the guys this week, hey man, they running their D line like an Alabama defensive line. They going 7-8 deep with the rotation. You know, so that's the strength for me. Even though I think it starts with Carson Wentz, I think the strength of that team is a defensive line. And I saw how they played their past game with the personality and the depth that they have on that line. How that line goes is how the Philadelphia Eagles goes right now. As far as like receivers, we didn't see with Carson Wentz, then done with some guys you don't even know. You know, so one thing I do like about Carson is he gonna lay everything on the line. His body, his heart, and his soul on the line for the sake of his team and his teammates. And you got to appreciate that.
You mentioned Carson Wentz. I wanted to go down that road. What do you see in him right now? Like, what do you see obvious problems? Like, what do you think the issues are right now with him? Because we've seen flashes of greatness throughout his career, and then we've seen times where it's like, wow, who is this man? So as an ex-player, when you see Carson Wentz, what do you see in him now that confuses you a bit? And what do you see in him now that you think is like, wow, this guy has it?
He's trying too hard. He feel like he has to make every play because y'all said it best. He got some receivers that are down, some key receivers that are down. So when you have that, you lose the relationship and the timing on the field. So if you've been practicing with your first team receivers through these last 10 weeks and they down bad, now you got a bunch of other guys that you have no like football and practice relationships with. It's hard to get that timing. But Carson Wentz, I think he's just pressing.
Yeah.
I think he's just pressing the issue. When Carson come back down and understand he don't have to make every play, him just being Carson, making the reads and the throws he needs to make, everything will be fine. But I think right now he's just pressing the issue.
Isn't it a little weird, though, that you would think because it seems like he plays his best football when it's all these practice squad guys, and you would think that's when you would press more because you need to know everything has to be perfect. Yet when he has healthier guys out there, his weapons that are better, that's when it's almost like he's overthrowing and it's worse. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
That's the timing part. You know, when you in and out of receivers, you know, you got 3 weeks here, then he's gone for 3 weeks, and when you in and out, that throws the timing off. And you saw that with Big Ben. Like, Big Ben had practiced with his receivers, but he never really could get that timing. Now he's getting that timing with the young receivers, but they've been on the field with 7. It's a little bit different with Carson Wentz. You know, he haven't been on the field. They haven't had a lot of game time together. And that will adjust if these guys stay injured and the guys he have on the field now stays on the field. Now, when the starters do come back, 1 or 2 starters in Deshaun and company do come back, now that's going to throw the timing off as well because Deshaun runs a different speed. His stride length is longer. Like, he can get behind the defense faster than others. Carson can throw it and he can run underneath it. It's a little bit different now when you don't have a guy like a Deshaun Jackson and you got to pinpoint the ball. You know you can't back shoulder. You got to throw a straight shot. So it's tough on the quarterback, man. It's like going to a restaurant and you know exactly what you're going to get every time. Then that restaurant just switched the whole menu up on you. It's like, dang, what I choose from now, you know?
That's
so
a good one.
That's what Carson Wentz is going through when it comes down to the receiving position.
I like that. That's good. Ike Taylor is the host of Bleav in Steelers on the Bleav Podcast Network. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. When you look at the Steelers, what is their deficiency right now? What's the one thing that they need to work on?
Oh, good question. Shoosh.
Or are they a complete team? Are they a complete team?
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is really like a legit contender. I think Pittsburgh, and people gonna call me biased, and I really don't care because if I didn't think they was legit, I'd say this. But I think Pittsburgh got a legit because they're total package. If you're looking for special teams, go holler at Deontay. Even though Deontay might catch a punt inside the 5, Coach T is not going to trip on that because that's his personality, and he figures every time the ball is in my hand, I can make a big play. Yeah. So Coach T can live with that, and I'm sure he'll tell Deontay, don't change it because if I change it, you're not being you. When you want to talk about defenses, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers has the most first-rounders on that defense that's in the starting lineup. The offensive line is trying to get back healthy, but even the guys who has been filling in, they've been stepping up. So now when the guys do come back, you got depth at the offensive line. We're not even going to talk about the D-line. The D-line has been a D-line. Everybody knows when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you're talking about a core of linebackers. You know, so you got between Bud and Devin and Vince and TJ, you got some dogs and some personalities at that linebacker position. You wind up getting Minka from Miami, a first-round draft pick. You always felt like he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, but you couldn't get him because Miami had got him first. He became available in a trade, and there you go. You get a Joe Hayden, you get a Steve Nelson. I can go down the line with these guys. You got depth at the running back position, which is hard to have. And you got Vance McDonald at the tight end position. You got Eric Ebron you picked up during free agency. It's like what I don't have. Like on my Christmas list, I'm looking at my Christmas list and I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got everything I need on my Christmas list.
Well, I said they went 8-8 last year, and I said Roethlisberger's got to be good for at least 2 more. That gets you to 10, and if they do better than that, I thought this team was going to be really good. Should be fun. Eagles and Steelers, the 2 most sacks in the league. So defensive lines, Ike, you mentioned the Eagles' defensive line, how good they are. The Steelers, they have the 2 most sacks in the league. This one should be fun on Sunday. and you can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Ike Taylor, he's the host of the Bleav in Steelers on the Bleav Podcast Network, a two-time Super Bowl champion, and he was kind enough to join us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Ike, we appreciate it, man.
Fellas, I appreciate the invite.